Hello and welcome to this week's weekly psychic forecast for the week commencing the 27th of June 2022. We're going to be taking a look at the influences for this week, the energies that are around us and how we can best capitalise on those to get the best out of this week. Now we will begin with the overview of the week, which I've already laid out here for you, and then we'll be looking day by day at each day of the week, finishing up with some motivational and spiritual guidance cards at the end. So if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please make sure you hit that button and ring that bell right now so that you never miss another forecast. So let's dive straight on in. Now this is definitely an interesting looking week. It does feel very much as though people are going against authority this week. And what I mean by that, I feel there's a lot of pushback against rules, against government, authority figures. This may be on a more individual level, on a more community level than on the national level, but I think we're going to see it throughout our different societies in the West right now. There's a lot of pushback against old systems that just aren't working for us anymore, and there's a real need and desire to move into a new way of doing things on that 24/7. And what's interesting here is it comes in with a huge amount of angelic help, so this is the right time to be pushing back against rules that you think are unfair or unnecessary, wherever that may appear in your life, whether it's as simple as something at the supermarket that you think you need to have something to say about, speak to the manager, why do you have this rule in here, it doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of pushback happening. There's a very Uranian feel here. Now, I'm not an astrologer, but that's what it feels like to me. It's a very Aquarian feel of there's a certain amount of rebellion going on this week, and it's a very, very interesting one, and it's very much against old systems, old structures, and what was once believed to be wisdom. But I think as time goes on, we're learning that wisdom just doesn't resonate with us anymore, doesn't resonate with the new generations, and doesn't serve us anymore either. And I think we're going to see a lot of structures, a lot of old systems being challenged this week. So it's going to be very interesting indeed. But there is going to be a lot of help for that. So I think many of these challenges will actually be successful because there is this wonderful angelic influence which is going to come in, hopefully with some wisdom for people, because people don't always rebel in the right way. Sometimes you can be a bit silly, people can be a bit silly about it. They can do things which are not appropriate. They can turn violent, which is never the right way to do anything. But there is this magical music card at the end here as well, which is quite an interesting one. For me, what my guides are actually saying to me is this is more about spirit guides actually communicating with us through sound. So it may be a week where clairaudients are getting a lot of messages. Now, a clairaudient is somebody who has a psychic ability and can actually hear things, either words in their mind or words with their physical ears, or sounds with their physical ears. So I feel there's a lot of clairaudience in the system this week, but also there are a lot of messages coming through for everyone from the higher realms, and they will be trying to speak those messages to us. And one of the ways that they can do that, which can be very effective, is through music on the radio. And you may have already noticed this at some points in your life. You may turn on the radio and hear a specific song at a very specific point and hear the same words over and over again, several times in quick succession or throughout a space of a week or a couple of weeks. And it feels as though the universe is trying to give you a message with those specific words because you keep hearing them. And I want to tell you that, yes, that is exactly how your spirit guides communicate with you. That is exactly how your angels communicate with you. It's a nice, easy way that they can communicate with us, without having to try and appear in human form, which would be very difficult and would take a huge amount of energy for them to do. So yes, messages coming through music, messages coming through sound, through words from the higher realms right now, but teaching us how to make those changes in the right way, how to do it with great wisdom and with love as well, and not harming other people just because we want to change the system. So let's take a look at the days of the week now. We're going to start with Monday. Monday's cards, we have number 5, financial and material changes. We have the altar priestess, which is a number 39. And we have life energy. Wow. Interesting start to the week. And I want to say interesting start to the working week as well. It does feel as though this is a week where many people may be looking at their lives and their lifestyles and considering whether they actually want to continue with the way that's going. You know, you may be thinking, I'm not sure if I want to do this job anymore. I might want to jack it in. I might want to do something a bit different. I might want a promotion. I might want to move completely in a different direction. And there's certainly an impetus to do that this week, I think. So this is the last week of June and the beginning of July. There's a real itchy feet feeling of really wanting to move on and do something different and do something more vibrant as well, that actually makes your soul sing, something that makes you feel alive. There's a real pull to do something meaningful that makes you feel like you're actually living rather than just trying to pay the bills and be sensible the whole time. There's a real call to adventure on that number 5. And there's a real magical feel to it as well with our middle card, the Altar Priestess, which does also bring some balance on that 39, 14, 5. No, that's not 39, 14. I can't count. I always get this wrong. Isn't it interesting? 39 is a 12, 12, 3. But for some reason, the 14, 5 number desperately wanted to come in. So I'm going to go with it, because in numerology, when you make a mistake, there is a reason for that in esoteric numerology. So we do actually look at the mistakes we make and we include them in our work. So I'm going to bring the energy of 14-5 in here as well, because it was so desperate to come tumbling out of my mouth, which is about finding balance and harmony. But there is also a call to adventure on number 5. But there's this very harmonious energy here, and on a 39, 12, 3, we have a real opportunity to actually make changes, to step up and be in control of the changes, to do it from a place of wisdom, to do it from a place of actually creating as we wish to do, rather than just waiting for something else to come along. You know, it feels like we are creating our future on Monday. It feels like there is a real possibility that we can create something new for ourselves, make some really good decisions, or magic something up for ourselves, I want to say. That's what it's going to feel like, because a very, very sacred feel on Monday. A call to adventure. It may be that you suddenly decide you want to go travelling, that you don't want to do your job at all, you know, that you want a complete change of direction. But there's a very, very intuitive, spiritual feel there as well. So I feel that's going to be a part of it as well. A lot of people are going to want to include more of their spirituality in their life, in their day-to-day life. So it may be a day to actually begin a meditation or spiritual practice. I do also want to just note with the star here and this beautiful sun fairy on the end here, there is a real pull to go out in the sunshine. And of course we are in the middle of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, but the sun's rays will be very healing and full of wisdom at the moment as well. So I feel it would be very advantageous if you have questions, if you're looking for answers from your guides, to actually go out and sit in the sunshine specifically this week, or even in the starlight, or perhaps in both if you can do, if you have clear skies, and allow the rays to come through to you from those celestial bodies, because they bring a lot of wisdom. A lot of our wisdom comes from the sun. It comes from the stars. You know, it is always talking to us, and sometimes it can be really helpful to soak up the sun's rays or the star rays at night to actually find our answers and receive wisdom. So we're going to move on to Tuesday now. Let's take a look here. Tuesday's cards, we have number 2, the sacral chakra, quelle surprise. Okay, we have the fire prince, number 40, and we have moderation. Okay, so I say quelle surprise with the sacral chakra because there is so much sacral chakra stuff going on, and has been for several months now in the collective, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about it in previous videos, and certainly with many other psychics and intuitives who felt very much the same thing. We have a lot going on with our sacral chakras at the moment. So the sacral chakra is the orange energy center which sits just below the navel on your belly. It's a very important chakra, and one that I was talking about in the 666 reading I did with Chrissy recently. I'll link to that above, about how it's been neglected and sort of taken out of proceedings, which is a problem, because that is, you know, the seat of our personality and our confidence and who we see ourselves as in the world. It's our personality. It's, in some ways, it's the representation of our sovereign being. So when we are disconnected from that energy, or when it is weak, it's very difficult to stand up for ourselves and to know who we are. And when you don't know who you are, then it's very easy for other people to push you around, particularly when They want to manipulate other people for their personal gain. So the sacral chakra very much showing up next to this very fiery card, very positive, optimistic card, which, it can have a certain amount of aggression because it is fire energy. Fire is creative, it's very powerful, and of course we must keep a firm hand on it. But it's coming in on this number 40. We had quite a lot of 4s last week, if I remember rightly, but this number 40 is the number of validation. It's the number of viability. Very important number. So it does feel very much like we're coming of age on Tuesday. There's a real feeling of, in some way, coming of age, learning to be an adult, I want to say. And I've been talking about this a lot on Twitter. If you don't follow me there, you can do. I'll link to that in the description below if you want to follow me on Twitter and hear my ramblings on there. But there is a real pull on Tuesday to stand up and be counted. There's a real sense of urgency, I want to say, to actually be a sovereign being, to be an adult, to make your own decisions, to do away with that parent-child relationship that so many nations have with their governments, with their authority figures, which is so frustrating for those of us who want to be in charge of our own lives, who recognise that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, who recognise that we are the whole universe just in human form, and we don't need authority figures, we don't need a sovereign, we are sovereign beings. We don't need a go-between. Like the Pope was saying recently, I believe, that you should always have the church as a go-between. You can't have a direct relationship with Jesus or with God. And I thought, what a load of old tosh, what a load of rubbish. And I'm sorry if that's your belief, but it's false, absolutely false. And he was trying to scare people into, I presume, not leaving the church. I don't know, I'm not a member of the church, so I'm not exactly sure what his motivation was, but it sounded very much like he had a business model to protect or a control model to protect. And that is one of the reasons that I've never gotten on with mainstream religion, because of the aspect of control and them trying to tell you, oh yes, you have to go through us for your connection to the divine. Well, that's bollocks. It's a lie. You absolutely don't. You should do what's right for you. And if you enjoy that connection through organised religion, that's great and that's fine for you. But to say that you cannot and must not have a relationship directly with the divine, you must go through another person, another human being, doesn't make any sense at all. It really, really doesn't when you think about it. Because we are all one, we are all oneness, and we are all the divine in human form. So why would we need another human, which is also the divine in human form, to access the divine when we are all the divine? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's simply a method of control, a very old one, which is falling away now. I feel there may be some backlash on Tuesday to some of the churches or religions, something interesting going on there, or people just stepping up, standing up and wanting to be counted in some way. So it may be a day of protesting, it may be a day of possibly even riots with that fiery energy there. There's definitely a possibility. So the warning does come in, do things in the right way. Moderation is key. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on Tuesday, even if you're feeling really fired up and want to have an argument with someone. It may not be the right moment to do it. There may be a better way to approach your differences. There is always common ground. There is always middle ground. And this is what I'm always trying to say. There is always middle ground, and we all have far more in common with each other than not. Simply because we're all human beings. We have so much in common just because we're all humans. Yeah. And if we choose to find that middle ground, if we choose to find ways to get along with people, we absolutely can do it. So make that choice. Try and bring in that gentle voice of moderation on Tuesday. Bring in that voice of compassion for other people. Try to remember that everyone is doing the best that they can with what they have. And this is a difficult lifetime. Like I keep saying, this is a really tough one that we're all going through right now. We've had a lot of challenges. We've had a lot of stress. Particularly the past couple of years have been very challenging for us. So, try to go easy on yourself, but go easy on other people as well. They are doing the best they can, even if their beliefs or ideas are frustrating to us, or perhaps we think that they're wrong and we desperately want to change their mind. Well, guess what? You don't have to change everybody else's mind. We can learn to coexist, and I feel that's very strongly the lesson to come from Tuesday. So let's move on to Wednesday now. Right. Wednesday's cards, we have number 2, Intuition. We have Gaia's Garden, number 18. I think this one came out last week. And we have abundance. Wow. Now that's some nice cards to see for Wednesday. Great day of potential, I feel, on Wednesday. And very much our spirit guides, our angels, wanting to steer us in the direction of a much more positive future here. And I feel that's going to be coming through for a lot of people on Wednesday. And you may be noticing it again on a very individual level, feeling that you want to make changes in your career, make changes in your home life, actually start growing a garden, growing food, coming together in community projects to help one another. Or you may be inspired in new ways to make money or to create abundance in your life, because abundance doesn't just have to come in the form of money. That is one of the ways it can come, but it can come in many different ways. An abundance of love, abundance of time, abundance of happiness. We can be abundant in many, many different ways. It doesn't just have to show up in currency. That is one of the ways it certainly can show up, of course. And it is very helpful because in this lifetime we're living in at the moment, we do actually need money to exist most of the time. It's very, very difficult to exist outside of the system. But I feel that these cards are bringing through, I want to say perhaps some solutions for people who do want to live outside of the system, or who want an easier time of things, who have realised, it's a very intuitive day. So I think we're going to be having some realisations here. Really realise that much as you're not lazy, you want to work and do things, the whole construct of going to work, coming home again, having evenings and weekends off just isn't working anymore. And I think a lot of people are coming to that realization. It feels like a very strong impulse on Wednesday to actually get rid of that, to step away from that, to find new ways to live, new ways to exist. It's almost the old energy of the hippie commune, but it needs to have a new spin on it. It needs a modern version of living in communities, maybe living in tribes, how we used to do it, but a modern way of doing it that doesn't necessarily exclude technology or the new ways that we like to do things. We have new ways of doing it, and there is a very, very strong pull to nature magic, to go outside and actually commune with nature, with Mother Nature, with Gaia. She will guide us. She will teach us many lessons if we will go outside and learn from her. One of the most important lessons I learned in the last couple of years, and I grew my first garden in 2020. I grew vegetables for the first time ever, and fruit trees. And one of the things that I learned was that nature is abundant and generous. So abundant and so generous, and I did everything organically because that's my preference. I didn't use any pesticides. I grew companion plants to try and protect the other plants, herbs and specific plants that act as a decoy to keep the insects from eating the ones that you want to eat, or that keep them away with certain odours. Like chives can keep away carrot fly from your carrots. I learned so much, but I learned so much from nature that everything was so abundant, because I grew pumpkins, which is interesting as a pumpkin on this card. I grew squashes, I grew courgettes, and I saved lots of seeds from my pumpkins and my squashes, and I was able to grow them in subsequent years, and I had so many seeds. And I realised as I was scooping out the seeds from one of my pumpkins to keep them, just how many I had. I had like a couple of hundred seeds out of one fruit, one pumpkin. And I thought, wow, nature is truly abundant. How did we ever think that there was any lack in the world? And it was a real wake-up moment for me. And I feel that's the message for this day, is very much that the world is so abundant. We just have to get our hands in the soil to see it, get back to nature to see it. Because if we choose to live in this system, the system will lie to us and keep us going astray, keep us looking in the wrong direction. It's like an illusionist, people who do magic, but not proper magic, illusion, where they use misdirection to make you look that way while they're doing something over here, and you think it's, it's very clever and it's very entertaining to watch. But when people use it to mislead a whole population, then it's extremely dangerous and very dark as well. And I think some of this darkness will be exposed today. There will be people who are going to have some difficult lessons today as well. The ones that have been misleading humanity, I feel they're going to have a difficult time today. I feel that things aren't going to go well for them. There's the energy of reaping what you've sown, which will go both ways, I think, for people who want to help humanity and people who genuinely don't and just want to serve their own interests. So see where it takes you. It's a very, very interesting day, a very potent energy, and there's certainly a huge potential here for creating abundance, but also for recognizing the abundance that already exists in our lives if we choose to capitalize on it. So let's move on now. And we'll take a look at Thursday's cards. Thursday we have 0, new beginnings. Sisters of the Seasons, offer number 17. And Wait for Winter. Now that is interesting. You couldn't make this up. Now I pull these cards blind. I don't choose them. I pull them and they come out as they come out. Very interesting that we've got Sisters of the Seasons next to Wait for Winter. So they're very much talking about seasons, natural law, the cycles of growth coming through here, but also divine timing. And I feel that's a very strong theme for Thursday here. It's all about timing, and that the good things do take time, because there's a real urge on Thursday to start something new, to strike out in a new direction. And this has very much been a theme all week. We want to get going with things. We want to try the new thing, move in a new direction. But nature is here to remind us that everything happens as it's supposed to. You know, you can't expect flowers to grow in the winter if they're supposed to grow in the summer. Everything has its season. And I think that's the most important message for Thursday, is that if something isn't working right now, it doesn't mean that it won't. Okay, I'm just going to say that again. If something isn't working right now, it doesn't mean that it never will. Okay, it may be simply that you need to wait, that you need to be patient, that you need to keep going. Like when you plant seeds in a garden, you don't go and dig them up because they didn't grow in 2 days' time. It's just not the speed that most seeds grow at. It takes a long time, particularly if you want to grow a tree. It takes a very long time. I have a baby hazelnut tree in my garden at the moment, and it's tiny. It's taking a very long time to grow, but she's growing, and I'll give her time. It's probably going to be several years before I get any nuts, but that doesn't matter. I'm growing her for the future, not for now, and I understand that. And I think that's a very strong theme and a very good reminder for all of us right now, because so many of us have been so frustrated with lockdowns, with not being able to do what we wanted to over the past couple of years. Even if we didn't agree with some of the measures, we felt very restricted, more so than ever before. So many of us started new businesses, we did new things, started new YouTube channels like I did. And there's very much a reminder here that this is wonderful. Your new beginning is so powerful, so wonderful, so beautiful. And whether you're doing it today or whether it's something that you've already started, it will take the time that it takes to grow. Be a little bit patient. Try to be patient with yourself. Try to be patient with other people who are feeling impatient today, and remind them of divine timing. Remind them that very often, if an opportunity is not presented immediately, it could be because the universe has something better lined up, or because it has better timing lined up for you so that it will be easier. And we just have to be a little bit patient and remember that, yes, we are divine beings in human form, but we don't remember everything that we used to know. We don't have access to all of that knowledge at our fingertips anymore. You know, we don't have access to all of that divine knowledge we used to have when we were, you know, flying around being spiritual beings before we chose to incarnate. And that's okay. Sometimes we do have to trust in God, the goddess, the divine, whatever you want to call it. The name doesn't really matter. And just know that when we plant the seeds, it will grow. Plant the seeds and it will grow. There is also a message here that what we begin now will have, and the choices that we make at this point in time, this last week of June, beginning of July, will have consequences for the next 6 months. So I want to talk about the things that we start now will have consequences for the next 6 months. So do think very carefully about what you begin right now, because you will have to continue it. I feel things that we begin right now, we will be held to account in 6 months' time. The decisions that we make, whether it's beginning a relationship, ending a relationship, starting a business, leaving a job, we will be held to account in around 6 months' time. So make sure that you're making good choices for you, good choices for the people around you that you care about, doing the right thing. Because I feel that the decisions we make, particularly on Thursday, which may be coming up to mind right now, they will have quite long-lasting consequences, and we will absolutely be held to account, even if we don't see those consequences until the winter month, until December, January. So let's move on to Friday now. And that's not anything to be afraid of necessarily. You know, it is what it is. It's absolutely fine. So Friday. Oh, beautiful. Very beautiful. We have number 7, Triumph. We have the Sacred Union, which is number 27, 27-9. And we have Precious Time. These are very beautiful cards. Wow, really lovely feeling. I think on Friday there's quite a positive feeling coming through on Friday. There's very much a union with the divine, I think, going on here. So it's a beautiful day for spiritual practice, for meditation, for prayer. There's a real loving feel coming through from the higher realms, I think, on Friday as well, which we may be able to feel and perceive in our daily life. You may have a really wonderful day on Friday, or you may not, but the love is definitely there regardless of what's happening in your day-to-day life. And it does feel we're going to be feeling a little bit impatient, and like I said, for Thursday things take time and it's going to feel like we want everything now, we want to hurry up, we want to get things done. Particularly in romantic relationships, I would warn you not to rush into anything on Friday, because you may feel like you want to just, come on, let's get this done. It's like, oh, I found you, you're good enough, all right, I'll marry this person. Okay, let's maybe pull back for a second. Let's have a good look at what we're actually doing and see whether this person actually matches what we're looking for in a partner. Let's look at whether this person is truly right for us, and vice versa. If we're truly right for them, make sure you're not pretending to be something you're not, because you think you would like to be in a relationship with this person. It may turn out that you're very, very mismatched. So I want just to bring in a little bit of caution on Friday for romantic relationships. So be a little bit careful there, because there is this very impatient feel. So do be careful there. And it is a day very much of divine timing. So things that you have been waiting for may actually come through for you on Friday. And this may be to do with romance. Just make sure you're not rushing into anything. This may be something you've waited a long time for and has now come around in a mature way, in the right way. It could be to do with work as well, I feel, but there is there's a real sense of wisdom as well, wisdom that is available for us to tap into on Friday. So with this owl here on this card, I feel that there's the real energy of wisdom, of Athena coming through here. So you may actually want to connect with Athena's energy on Friday and see what message she has for you. Maybe invite her into your meditation so that you can see what she has to say. She's incredibly wise goddess from the Greek pantheon, which is one of my preferred pantheons of gods and goddesses. She's very wise. She's the goddess of war, of wisdom, and she will teach us many things if we want her to. And we have a lot to learn at the moment. I think Friday as well brings up the subject of study, so it may be a day where you're actually doing some study, researching something, or thinking about beginning a course, or maybe you think about going back to school to learn something, or to learn something new, or to increase your knowledge in a particular sector. So it's a very, very interesting day. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of potential here as well. I would just say, just remember the saying on Friday, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And I think that's going to keep you on the right track. So let's move on to the weekend now. Let's go to Saturday. Saturday's cards, we have number 18, Shadow. We have number 7, the Well Watcher. And we have Healing. Now this is an interesting day, and a bit of a dark one as well. Oh my goodness, what have you been hiding at the bottom of that well? Wow. The Shadow card, number 18, it's very similar to the Moon in tarot deck. This is a non-traditional tarot deck, this particular card. And it is, I think, on a very deep level about healing and facing some of the shadow aspects, some of the difficult things that we have had to hide about our past. Maybe we come from a history of abuse or being mistreated. Maybe we've had difficult experiences that we never healed from. Maybe we have PTSD that needs to be looked at, and that we need better strategies to get through our daily life so that we can actually succeed. So I want to ask you on Saturday, what have you been hiding at the bottom of the well? What did you throw down there that you wanted no one else to see? And I think that's going to be very helpful to navigate Saturday's energy, because it is one where skeletons may be coming out of the closet. It may be a difficult day where we get triggered because of some difficult traumatic experience in the past, and we find ourselves reacting to something in an inappropriate way. So just be very mindful of that. It is a very good day for self-healing, whether you're talking to a friend, talking to a therapist, or whether you're just doing healing on yourself. That could be angelic healing, crystal healing, Reiki healing. It would be very, very helpful on Saturday just to do some sort of healing for yourself, even if it's just having a beautiful salt bath or a bath with essential oils that you need, and taking a rest, because there's a lot of darkness that we're all dealing with at the moment, and it is coming up in the collective. It's not just an individual thing. It's something I've been dealing with personally as well. Many of the people I know, we have been dealing with darkness within ourselves, and that's not necessarily a dark trait. It's not necessarily that, oh, I was secretly a psychopath and I didn't realize it. It's not necessarily that. It may be just that we react to things in the wrong way because we have unhealed trauma. There may be something unhealed within you, and with this very watery well watcher energy, it's definitely an emotional thing that's coming up right now. So see where your emotions take you on Saturday. Be mindful that some of your emotional reactions may not be helpful ones, and maybe try to look at what's happening in you, see if there's something that does need to be healed, or if there may be someone in your life who needs to be healed, who is reacting in difficult ways, who maybe needs a bit of a wake-up call. It may be time to very gently suggest that they seek out a counsellor, or maybe suggest a 12-step program to them, if someone's suffering with addiction. But it is certainly a day to be looking at those darker aspects of self, but with the intention of healing them, not with the intention of condemning someone and calling them names and and being unkind or cruel, because we do all have our faults and nobody is perfect. So that's a very, very good thing to remember, I think, for Saturday. Nobody's perfect. We all have something at the bottom of that well. So let's take a look at Sunday now. Sunday's cards. We have number 1, the base chakra. We have number 42, the Horse King. He's come up recently. And we have celebration. Interesting mix on Sunday. Feels like such a mixed bag of energy this week. It's quite peculiar in many ways, actually. Okay. So what I want to say first is, that there is a lot of happiness in the system on Sunday, in the energy, that there's a lot of fun. I want to say there is a potential here to have fun on a very human level, on a very basic level. It may be that people are having parties and literally drinking, or having casual relationships, which may not be the best thing, but there may be a with that base chakra showing up, the root chakra is kind of making me think of that. So I feel like that's quite possible on Sunday, but try and make sure you don't do anything you regret. But it is quite a fun feeling. I think we could have some fun just doing silly, very basic things, whether it's getting together with friends and having a bit of a dance and mucking around and just being a bit silly. And I think the reminder comes through that we don't always have to be in control of everything all the time. And I think this is the Horse King's message here. We don't have to have everything together all the time. Sometimes life is just about living it. Life is just about enjoying ourselves. And that's very easy to forget, particularly if you are a member of what we might call the spiritual community, if you're trying to live in a way that helps to grow your own spirituality, if you're trying to achieve enlightenment, as many people are. There is this reminder here that, sometimes you can let your hair down. You don't have to be so serious all the time. Why the long face? Try not to be too serious on Sunday. Let your hair down, do something silly, just go out and enjoy yourself. Even if you think, oh, well, no, I couldn't possibly have a glass of wine. That's not spiritual. Well, I beg to differ. I'm pretty sure Jesus had a glass of wine or two in the Bible. So even if you're not Christian, doesn't matter, because I'm not either. So just remember that life is supposed to be fun. I think that's the message for Sunday for me, is very much life is supposed to be fun. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up if you've, had a few too many drinks or done things that you consider to be unspiritual. Oh no, how could I do that? Well, you know what? It's okay. You don't have to have everything sorted out all the time. You don't have to have everything figured out all the time. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to let your heart out to play, let your inner child out to play. It's okay to be playful. It's okay to be a human being. Animals are very good at showing us this. Animals know how to play. It doesn't matter how old they are. If you show a cat a piece of string, it's going to play with it. It doesn't matter how old the cat is. Could be its last day on earth. And I think as human beings, we very much forget that. We think that, oh, I'm an adult now. I have to be serious all the time. I can't play. I can't let my hair down unless it's in sanctioned ways. And I say, well, that's rubbish. If you want to go on the swings, go on the swings. So try to enjoy yourself on Sunday and try not to beat yourself up. If you think, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I thought I'd stepped away from this on my path. You know what? Everything in moderation. Everything is okay in moderation. Don't beat yourself up. All is well. So we're going to move on now to our spiritual message for the week. And I'm using a new pack of cards here. We have the ladybug or ladybird here in England, which says good luck, and we have the snow leopard, self-reliance. And I really like this message this week. Some really lovely cards. I'm loving working with them, actually. This is the Spirit of the Animals Oracle. And you're going to see this one more as time goes on. Really beautiful deck. But what I'm feeling very strongly here for our spiritual guidance this week is the message is very much to step up, to be an adult, to be reliant on the self, so the self-reliance. And just a reminder that there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have somebody telling you what to do all the time. You don't have to have somebody telling you what the rules are all the time. Sometimes it's okay to kind of ad-lib and do it your way. And that can be very fortunate. You can find great fortune doing things your own way. It doesn't have to be the prescribed way that's been laid out for you. You don't have to follow the rules. You can colour outside of the lines. You can be the person you want to be because you are a sovereign being, and there is this very, very strong pull at the moment in the whole collective for us to become sovereign beings, which is why we're seeing so many people fighting against rules they don't like, against laws they don't agree with. There's this real sense right now that as an individual, I know what's right for me. We're remembering that, yes, we can take self-responsibility. We can rely on ourselves. We don't need an authority figure, mummy, daddy, government to come in to tell us how it's done. We are adults. We are growing up energetically. We are growing up spiritually at the moment. And as that happens, and it doesn't matter how old you are, by the way, spiritually we grow up at our own rate. It has nothing to do with actual age, physical age. But the human race itself is growing up. We are becoming the sovereign beings again. We are remembering who we are. We are remembering that actually we would like a little bit more independence, please. We don't need the state to tell us X, Y, Z or to tell us what we can and can't do. We can make that decision for ourselves. And that actually it's okay to do that. And we actually bless the world. We bring greater blessings to the world when we act as individuals in a positive way, coming from a place of wisdom, from inner strength, from discernment, from compassion when we do that, rather than just following rules for the sake of following rules. Rules don't include compassion. Rules don't have compassion. They're just a notion that this is something you should do. When we act as individuals in the right way, we actually make the world a much better, much more cohesive, compassionate, kind place to live. And that's what I want to encourage you all to do. And if you follow me on Twitter, you will know I'm always going on about being a sovereign being. But it's absolutely crucial that we learn how to do that we grow up on a spiritual level, because humanity's future and humanity's ascension to a higher level of being actually depends on it. So thank you very much for watching this week's reading. Please do remember to subscribe, like this video, leave me a comment if there's something you'd like to share with us all. If there's something you would like me to talk about on a future video that I haven't been talking about, please do let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all again soon.